Rainbow Reflections, Book 2, Put Out the Fire. Chapter 8, A Helping Hand. It took a while for September 20th to arrive, but when it finally did, Hyaktu found himself in the magic channeling classroom with the first years. He wasn't co-teaching the first year classes with Khurshid like he did for the second year classes, but he decided to sit in on this first magical session, invisible to the students thanks to a potion he'd taken before class. I don't know if Zin actually connected with their magic during the assessments. I guess I'll find out now, he thought as he stood at the back of the classroom. They seem nervous. I hope this doesn't mean they won't be able to summon their magic from the start. Zin stood near the red fire cauldron with another first-year student named Cherry. Zin shifted their weight back and forth from one leg to the next as they listened to Khurshid talk about the first assignment.
One student will go at a time per cauldron,
the teacher was saying.
Lift your element out of the cauldron and put it back down. Try this 5 times each, then the next person may go. Call me over if you're having any difficulty.
Hyaktu kept watching Zin. They took a deep breath, their whole body tense. They glanced at Cherry, who stepped over to the cauldron first. Move the fire up, Cherry said, pointing her red-colored wand. Hyaktu watched the flames rise from the cauldron fiercely before settling back down. Cherry did this 4 more times, the blaze reaching high each repetition. Hyaktu could feel the heat on his skin, standing several feet away. Cherry then stepped back and looked at Zin expectantly. Zin took their hazel wand from their pocket and pointed it at the cauldron. They focused on the bright flames in front of them, but didn't make any other move. What's wrong, Zin? Hyaktu wondered, being sure not to send the thought telepathically to his kid. He didn't want them to know he was there, after all. Are you going to go or not? Cherry asked in an amused voice. Zin blinked, then muttered, Raise the fire! The fire continued to flicker in place, neither getting bigger nor smaller. Lift the fire into the air, Zin tried. Make the fire rise! Make the fire big! Rise! Each of their attempts went nowhere, and Zin slumped their shoulders in defeat. Cherry stepped up beside Zin and pointed her wand at the fire again. She ordered the fire to move in a slow and brisk voice, as if showing Zin the proper way to do it. But Hyaktu could see Zin was barely paying attention, their eyes glazing over as they stared at the blaze. They tried a few more times, but failed to make the fire do anything. So Zin doesn't have magic, Hyaktu thought with a disappointed sigh. That's odd. It's been about 2 months since they began the testosterone potions, and Dr. Yun was sure they'd be able to connect to their magic by now.
We will now move the elements side to side,
Khurshid told the class, breaking through Hyaktu's thoughts. Cherry signaled for Zin to go first. They sighed audibly and stepped forward, then took a deep breath as they clearly tried to relax. Make the fire move side to side, Zin ordered in a calm voice. The flames continued to flicker upwards, having no clear change. Mr. Jihan, Cherry called. Hyaktu swiftly moved out of the way as Khurshid walked over, though the blind man would be able to sense his presence regardless if he was invisible or not. Zinovis keeps trying to make the fire move, but nothing's happening, Cherry told Khurshid. Khurshid frowned.
Try again,
he told Zin. Zin took another deep breath, their lip curling in irritation. Move the fire side to side, they ordered. Nothing happened, Hyaktu sighing inwardly. Are you even magical? Cherry asked Zin, her voice full of pity.
Yes,
Khurshid answered for them.
Are you having a magic block today, Zin?
I don't know, they muttered.
Cherry, keep practicing. Zin, come over here,
Khurshid said. Zin sighed and followed Khurshid to the other half of the room, where a small obstacle course of chairs, desks, and boxes lay. They came to a stop in the opposite corner from the fire cauldron, Khurshid clearly determined to be as much out of earshot as possible. Hyaktu trailed them quickly, stepping around students before they could bump into him.
Are you doing okay, Zin?
Khurshid was asking by the time Hyaktu caught up. I don't know, Zin repeated, tears glistening in their eyes. They took a deep breath, but didn't say anything else.
Would you like to set up a counseling appointment?
Zin scuffed the ground with their shoe. I'm fine, they uttered. Khurshid frowned in their direction for a few more seconds, then said,
Very well. Focus on the magic itself, not the wand or anything else that might be going through your mind. I know it can be hard, but think only about the fire.
That's what I've been trying to do, Zin said dully.
Why can't Zin connect?
Hyaktu wondered, trailing his kid back to the cauldron. Zin tried to move the fire side to side, but wasn't able to. Hyaktu knew that, if a person actually had magic, they'd be able to perform the task, no matter how anxious or weary they were. Anxiety caused magic to be sporadic, exhaustion resulted in lame performances, and depression causes full-on magic blocks where no magic is possible at all. But Zin isn't depressed. Are they? They can't be. They aren't. Even if the thought of doing magic made them feel hopeless, they'd still be able to do something. It all comes down to not having magic. Khurshid soon ordered the students to move the element in a circle. Zin tried hard each time, focusing only on the flames, but it was to no avail. Meanwhile, Cherry easily performed the exercises, and so did the other 9 students in the classroom. Then, Zin glanced over at the yellow air cauldron nearby, their eyes lighting up. Hyaktu looked too, but saw nothing of interest there. After all, the air magicians weren't powerful enough to make the air visible, though they could certainly feel the many breezes they controlled. Zin shifted their weight from one leg to the other. They glanced at Cherry, who was focused on the fire, then pointed their wand at the air cauldron. Zin waited for one of the air magicians to lower their wand, then flick their own. Make the wind go in a circle, they whispered, so quietly that Hyaktu almost missed their words. Oh, Zin thinks they put out the fire at the assessments with air magic instead of fire. That would actually make sense. Hyaktu glanced at the air students, specifically at each of their robes, but nothing stirred their clothing. Zin stared helplessly at the yellow cauldron for a moment longer, before turning back to the red one. It's not air either. Focus on the fire. Focus on the fire, Zin muttered, their wand pointed at the orange blaze. You got this, Cherry encouraged beside them. Hyaktu sighed and headed for the door, not wanting to see his child get frustrated all over again. Class was almost finished anyhow, so it would be better if he left before all of the other students crashed into his invisible form. Move the fire in a circle! Move the fire in a circle! Move the fire in a circle! The fire suddenly burst, flames flying all over. Zin let out a yelp as they raised their arms to protect themselves. Cherry screamed and dove to the floor, and several students gasped in fright. Hyaktu reacted instinctively, summoning water from the blue cauldron nearby. As soon as he had enough water, he threw it at the fire cauldron. Khurshid hurried over, sending a large whirl of wind. Together, they were able to dim the flames within seconds. The room was silent for a long moment, each student staring at the empty cauldron or otherwise at Zin. Zin gradually put their arms down, glancing at their tattered robe and then at Cherry. The girl got to her feet nervously, checking herself for burns. Is everyone okay? Hyaktu and Khurshid asked in unison. The students glanced around for Hyaktu, and he realized he had blown his cover. He sighed and stomped his foot several times, which broke the invisibility enchantment. The first years gasped again as he appeared out of thin air. Dad? Zin mumbled, their mismatched eyes wide. Is everyone okay? Hyaktu repeated. He gazed from face to face until he received a nod from all 11 students. He then settled his violet eyes on Zin, standing only feet away, their eyes watery. Zinovis, come with me, Hyaktu said. Zin opened their mouths several times, but seemed to give up with whatever they were trying to say. They lowered their head and trailed their father from the room and into the sunny courtyard. Once the door closed behind them, Zin spoke in a quavering voice. Dad, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't know that happened, I swear. It's fine, Zin. Nobody was hurt, this time, murmured Hyaktu, leading Zin to the northern garden nearby. I was about to leave the room, thinking you still did not connect to your magic, but it seems I was wrong. Hyaktu came to a stop next to a tree with white mushrooms circling its rough bark. He turned to face Zin, his kid quickly wiping the tears that had streaked down their cheeks.
I'm not sure why your magic is acting the way it is, Hyaktu admitted. Maybe you didn't connect to it until just now.
But if I didn't connect until now, how did I put out the fire for the assessments? Zin queried.
Hyaktu sighed. I'm not sure. Your magic is definitely an odd case. I'd like you to create fire. Point it away from the trees towards the pond.
Create it? But aren't we only working on controlling it? Zin queried.
I'm not a fire magician, Hyaktu pointed out, so you'll have to create the fire in order to practice it.
Zin's shoulders slumped. I don't know if I can do it.
You control the fire, somewhat. I'd like you to try it again, Hyaktu pressed. Please, Zin, if you've connected...
Okay, they growled in frustration. They stepped away from their father and pointed their wand in front of them at the shimmering pond meters away. They took a deep breath, then muttered, Create a fire! But nothing happened.
I'm asking too much of them to create the fire, Hyaktu thought with a sigh. It's beyond their skill level.
He imagined the deck of cards he had enchanted for Zin. Not knowing where they were, it would be difficult to teleport the deck to his pocket, but he knew the cards were somewhere in the school, likely in Zin's room. He imagined the cards vividly in his mind's eye, then thought of them landing in his robe. A few moments later, he felt a weight in his pocket.
Here, I'll make a fire for you, Hyaktu said.
But you don't have fire, Zin said bluntly, glancing over their shoulder. Hyaktu pulled the cards out and searched through the deck for a card with a triangle on it. Finding the card, he lifted it in front of him and used it to draw a triangle in the air. He then flicked the card forward, causing a burst of fire to appear in front of them. It landed on the stone ground, burning strongly for several seconds.
Control it now,
Hyaktu said briskly. Zin lifted their wand rapidly and yelped, Make this fire huge! Make it big! But the fire did the opposite, dying out in less than a minute.
Your magic makes little sense, Hyaktu thought with a deep frown. It's like you're not connected at all. But if you're not connected, how did you manage to make the fire burst in class?
I don't get it! Zin wailed, tossing their wand angrily to the side, where it clattered as it rolled away. Why can't I do it? What's wrong with me, Dad?
Nothing is wrong with you,
Hyaktu said at once, reaching forward to plant a firm hand on their shoulder.
Magic blocks are common, especially when you first start learning.
Magic blocks? Zin scoffed, their voice breaking. Is that what's really going on here? Ren and Sorala and everyone else was able to do magic on their first day. Why can't I?
We'll figure it out, Hyaktu said calmly. It could be your body is still trying to get used to the testosterone potions.
How long does that take? Zin huffed.
I'm not sure, Hyaktu admitted. Dr. Yun said you should be able to connect with your magic in 1 or 2 months, but maybe it takes up to 3? They did say that if you still felt dysphoric, it'd make connecting more challenging in the beginning. Are you feeling dysphoria?
Not really, Zin grumbled, dropping their eyes to the stone ground. I mean, kinda chest dysphoria. I can feel it starting to grow back despite being on the potions.
I'll order some binders for you, Hyaktu said at once. And you can get top surgery next year once you're 16, like we've planned.
Zin closed their eyes. I know, they muttered.
Do you think this dysphoria is causing you to be unable to connect with your magic, though? Is it strong enough to prevent you from—
I don't know! Zin snapped bitterly, glaring at Hyaktu. I don't know what's going on, but I hate it! I hate that I still have no magic, or barely any magic. They pushed away from their father, kicking at the ground indignantly. And I hate this body! Why did I have to be born like this? Why does it have to set me behind everyone else? Why does it have to impact everything? Hyaktu watched them for a long moment, his heart aching for them. Then he ordered,
Pick up your wand and come with me.
Zin frowned, but did as he asked. They grabbed their wand and stuffed it in their robe pocket, then trailed after Hyaktu. He led them through the garden instead of going around. Though they had to fight their way through tangled bushes and draping leaves, Hyaktu hoped the plants would bring Zin a sense of tranquility. They made it out of the garden, and Zin seemed to calm down a bit. Their lip was no longer curled back, and they weren't stomping their feet as much. Hyaktu opened the door to the Tai Chi studio in the western building, allowing Zin to enter first before closing it behind them. Hyaktu walked over to the far side of the mat nearest the window overlooking the forest beyond the school. He took his shoes off, then sat on the squishy surface in a lotus position. He signaled for Zin to join him. Zin obliged a bit reluctantly, sitting in front of him.
"I'd like to do a sort of meditation,"
Hyaktu said. Zin sighed audibly, but Hyaktu pretended not to notice as he pressed on.
"Meditation has many benefits. I think we could both do with clearing our minds and relaxing."
"I don't need that," Zin protested gruffly. "I'm relaxed." Hyaktu didn't argue the point.
"We'll do a meditation," he repeated.
Hyaktu kept his hands in front of him, his thumbs touching as one hand rested in the other. He kept his eyes mostly closed, glancing sidelong at Zin to ensure they were following along. Zin had moved into a half-lotus position, not flexible enough to do the full lotus, their eyes closed.
"Breathe in slowly for 4 seconds. Hold the breath for another 4 seconds. Release the breath for 5. Hold for 4. That's it. Deep breathing relaxes the body and mind, allowing us to renew ourselves with fresh oxygen. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hyaktu continued to count the seconds, offering a few words in between. He could hear Zin breathing deeply beside him and smiled lightly.
"Have I ever taught you the values of 0, 1, and 2?
Hyaktu asked softly a few minutes into the meditation. "No?" Zin questioned after a brief pause.
0 is what we are doing now, Hyaktu said. Resetting the mind, allowing ourselves to be empty, like the space between a 0. It gives us a fresh beginning."
Hyaktu opened his eyes, watching Zin closely. They were frowning at this, and Hyaktu wondered if they were about to protest. But they didn't say anything, so he continued.
1 naturally comes next. Though some believe 1 is a selfish number, I believe 1 stands for oneness and unity. Oneness with the world around us, unity with others. You can take your sister, for example. She is constantly in a state of oneness, doing her best to fit to her environment and help others.
Zin's frown grew deeper, but they still did not speak.
2 follows the ideals of 1 in uniting and breeding balance. This is a very important number with yin-yang, as I'm sure you know well. Yin-yang, 2, is all about balance. You can't always be focused on one thing all the time. It will tire you out. You need to remember to take breaks, to focus on other things. Life is full of the push and pull, of doing and not doing. Not doing is just as important as doing.
"Is that what this is about?" Zin asked. "You think I need to take a break?"
"I think we all need to take more breaks than we allow ourselves," Hyaktu said earnestly. "If we don't take breaks, if we don't reset to 0, we will only burn ourselves out."
"You think I'm burning myself out?" Zin opened their eyes to peer at Hyaktu, suspicion in their multicolored gaze.
"I think you're trying hard in class, and you need to take a break to recharge," Hyaktu said calmly. "I commend you for your efforts. I really do. You are working harder than the rest of the students in your class. But I do think you need to take a step back from your efforts."
Zin opened their mouth to speak, but Hyaktu wasn't done.
"There's martial spirit and there's martial stupid," he said. "Do you know what the difference is?"
"Martial spirit is pushing through, persevering, right?" Hyaktu nodded. "And martial stupid? I'm not sure what that be," they admitted.
"We say martial stupid is trying to persevere when you're not healthy enough to do so, when you need to take a break," Hyaktu explained. "If you have an injury or you're sick, but you continue to train, that's martial stupid. Your body needs time to heal and recover, not be beat up and overworked. If you don't give your body that break, you'll only be out of training longer, as you push beyond your limits and damage your body even more."
Zin nodded slowly, comprehension passing over their face. "So, you want me to stop doing magic? Or trying to do it?" Hyaktu pursed his lips. I don't know what's going on with your magic, as I said. It could be the testosterone, the dysphoria you're still facing, or a magic block. But I think it could be something else. You don't expect to have magic, so that makes you have no magic. And the more frustrated you get with it, the more you are unable to do it. You keep blocking yourself. I think that, in order for you to overcome this block, you need to take a break and approach things from a different angle. There just comes a point where you're trying too much. Zen sighed, their shoulders slumping. I just don't know what to do, they muttered. How can I make myself believe I have magic? Like, truly believe it? I keep telling myself I need to have it because everyone has it at this age, because I'm on the testosterone potion now and can connect to myself better, because it's only natural that I have it. But no matter how much I try to tell myself, it just... They sighed again, looking up at Hyaktu with a pained expression. I'll truly believe in myself for a few minutes, but then it slips away when I can't do it. When I keep trying and nothing happens, I can't believe in myself anymore. I can't even trick myself into believing it. I can't do the magic for you, Hyaktu said after a moment. I wish I could to get you started. Yet this is something you're going to have to figure out for yourself. Zin lowered their gaze with another sigh, playing with a string on their robe. But I can give you advice, Hyaktu pushed on firmly, leaning forward. No matter the task you might be doing or the situation you might be in, magical or not, I think what you need, Zinnivis, is to reset. Try to focus on who you are and figure yourself out first. Then you will figure out your magic with time. But what if I don't? Zin asked. What if my magic never comes? It will, Hyaktu said. Just be confident in who you are, and your magic will make its appearance. How can you be so certain? Zin queried, their voice full of doubt as they looked up at Hyaktu again. Any block, any obstacle, can be overcome, Hyaktu said simply. Most of the time, it requires taking a step back, re-evaluating not only the situation, but also yourself, and approaching from a new angle and refreshed mindset. I guess, Zin muttered. They were quiet for a moment, then asked, Did you ever have a magic block? Is that how you overcame it? Hyaktu nodded. We all have magic blocks at some point in our lives, he said. People overcome them in what appears to be different ways, but it's mostly following self-reflection and resetting. Why did your magic block off? Hyaktu straightened up. My magic blocked off multiple times, he said earnestly. Whenever I got sick, my magic would be weak or shut off. A few times when you kids were younger, my magic would block off due to stress and overworking, considering I was the only one taking care of you, until I met the teachers and they were able to help. Another time, so sickness and stress? But I don't think I'm stressed, Zin uttered. I mean, I guess I'm a little stressed, but... Hyaktu reached across to pull Zin into a hug. We'll get this figured out, he promised. Magic blocks can't last forever, and if, for whatever reason, your elemental magic doesn't come forth or isn't that strong, I'll teach you spirit magic instead, okay? Zin pulled out of the hug, a broad grin on their face. You'll teach me spirit magic? Of course, Hyaktu said. I don't plan on teaching you anytime soon, but I'll teach it to you sooner than later if you're still not connecting to the elemental magic. Suddenly, the bell rang, signaling the end of Magic Channeling 1. You better get to your next class, Hyaktu told them. But remember, it's okay to take breaks. It's okay to reset. Zin nodded seriously, the smile falling off their face. They got to their feet and hurried out the room to head for Plants 1. Hyaktu watched them go, hoping his child would listen to his words. After a moment, he got to his feet and exited the Tai Chi studio. He was just about to head for the admin office, where he had placed a stack of homework from the third years, when he saw Khurshid headed towards him from the eastern building. Hyaktu changed directions, the men meeting each other in the center of the courtyard. Khurshid, what is it? Hyaktu asked.
What happened with Zinnivis?
Khurshid inquired. Hyaktu sighed lightly. I'm not sure, he admitted.
If this keeps up, you're going to have to pull them from classes again,
Khurshid said briskly.
But I'm being serious, Hyaktu,
Khurshid grumbled.
We can't have a repeat of last year. It's not fair to Zin, and it's not fair to the other students.
Hyaktu sighed again, running his hands through his hair. I know, he uttered, but we have to wait and see what happens before we do anything.
So you will pull them from class if they continue to be non-magical?
Yes, Hyaktu said, a sour taste in his mouth at the thought. But if I pull them from classes, I'm teaching them spirit magic. Khurshid looked taken aback at this.
Spirit magic? Why would you teach them that if they aren't even connected to elemental magic?
I have to teach them something, Hyaktu said, and maybe doing a little spirit magic will help them discover their elemental magic. Khurshid swatted a flyaway as it landed on his arm.
But that still would not be fair to the other students. To teach them advanced magic before they have basic magic. It's bad enough you already taught your kids martial arts over some—
I'll teach my kids what I want to teach them, Hyaktu replied firmly. Khurshid looked like he wanted to protest, but he closed his mouth and turned away. Hyaktu watched him go, not realizing that his body had become so stiff with tension. He took a deep breath in an attempt to relax his muscles, then headed for the admin office. I have to teach my kids more than the average student, don't I? With Kaokat around and now the government? Hyaktu shook his head. I'll do what I have to do to ensure their safety and well-being.